Hi, Tom. Do you know yesterday when you and Trish were doing your Meet the Press and you talked about the Forsythia tree? It made me think of the Greek myth of Demeter and Persephone. May I tell that? Thank you. You know, the Greeks had a way of explaining nature by having gods and goddesses. Demeter was the goddess of corn and harvest, and therefore all the things that would grow on the earth, so kind of an earth mother. She had a daughter named Persephone, a sweet young thing who sang like a bird, and everybody loved her. One day, they were separated, Demeter one way, Persephone sitting on a little stone singing a bird song. Hades, down in the underworld, was very lonely that day, and he came up to earth with his three-headed dog, Cerberus. Cerberus saw Persephone sitting on that stone and galloped over to her with all three heads going. And instead of being afraid, Persephone reached out her hand and she petted all three heads of that dog. Hades saw her and he fell immediately in love with her. Because he didn't know what else to do, he went and kidnapped her and brought her to the underworld. Demeter came back to look for Persephone, couldn't see her, and was immediately distraught and horrified and called out to her. And when she couldn't find her, she put a dark cloak over herself and she began to wander the earth, so lonely, calling for her daughter. And as that happened, the earth started to dry up and the crops started to crack and they didn't produce. Finally, Zeus said, "This can't be. You know, people need to have their crops. Demeter, you have to do something." She said, "You must bring my daughter back." So Zeus went to the underworld and he made a compromise with Hades. They made a deal. And they decided that Persephone would spend part of the year in the underworld and the rest of the year she would be with her mother on the earth. When Demeter heard this, she was so exuberant. She was so happy. She took off that dark cloak and right away things began to bloom like this beautiful Forsythia. And so Persephone came back as it was springtime and then stayed as it was summer and the crops are growing, and in the fall, the harvest, the great harvest, and then the earth would start to dry up and the crops would start to die because Persephone was going to the underworld and that became winter. So the whole seasons were explained by how Persephone and Demeter, Persephone coming in the spring, staying summer, beginning to get ready to leave in the fall, and then the cold dark winter, and again the spring. Thank you.